Hey guys, today I'm going to be teaching you how to group, ungroup objects and about the shape builder too. So let's get started. Okay, so first of all, let me just zoom in. Okay. Okay, now let me just create a few shapes. Now, if you do not know about shapes, I covered this in my shapes tutorial. So yeah, go and see that one. Let me just select a few more. Okay, this will be the last one. Okay, now the thing about ungrouped objects is, for example, let's say I mixed all of these shapes together, wanted them to be together. Now, when I click on one of these shapes, it will select them individually. I can select each of these objects individually. But the thing about when you create something like a logo, it requires you to group different kinds of things together. And when you try to move them, you don't want to move one of them because they're together, like combined, they form the logo. But when they're not combined, they're just individual shapes or objects. So right now I can select each of these separately, but what I want to do is want to be able to select all of these so that I can move and drag them around or even resize them all together. But I can't do that when I don't have these objects grouped. Now, the way I can group all of these objects is, all I need to do is select all of these objects. You can use a selection tool for this. If you use the direct selection tool, you will only be selecting the anchor point. So I would recommend you use the selection tool for this. Okay, after using the selection tool to select all of these objects, all you need to do to group these is right click, and then this option here, group, it will group all of these. And by that, I do not mean that they'll form into one shape or something like that. But kind of think of it like paper on top of each other glued together. You could kind of think of it like that. So let me just show you. I will click this group. Now these are all grouped. Now individually you can see I can, like when I hover over them, the container highlights for each of these individual objects. But when I will click on one of these, for example this circle right here, it will select all of these shapes, and that is how you know it is grouped. And if I right click, you will also see this option of ungrouping. So now these are all grouped together. Now I can just click and drag, and I'm pressing Alt and releasing to copy this whole object. So here you can see that these are now grouped objects because I can just click one of them and just drag them and they will all move around together. Now, let's say, for example, let's say I wanted to like only change or delete or modify one of these objects. You select first, right click, and then go ungroup. You could also go, you need to go into this option, or what I like to do is when my object is selected, I double click. And now these shapes are basically what I call isolated. And what do I mean by that is now I've basically like entered into the layer that these were a part of. Let me show you something in this layer section right here. This right here, this is the group. Let me just get out of this. Okay. I have a lot of these things, so do not mind these. This is what you need to pay attention to. Now, this right here, this is this one, and this one is this one right here. So just focus on this one right now. Okay, so when I grouped these together, see, I have selected it now. Now I'm going to ungroup, and you can see all of these shapes, they separated. But since these are all selected right now, I'll press group, and they all group together into their own layer. And when I double click, I go into isolation mode. What I mean by this is I've gone inside that group layer, okay? And now I can individually select each of these. And I can move them around and do whatever I want. But when I exit isolation mode, these are still a group, because when I click this square, this was also selected because these are still grouped together at the end. So I'm gonna go back in and just move this back. I think it is about here. I think it doesn't really matter. Basically, now these are again grouped. Okay, so now I can just move them around and you see what I mean. Okay, so that's enough for grouping and ungrouping. So let's go to our shape builder tool tutorial now. Okay, now the shape builder tool comes in handy when you create different kinds of designs. Basically, for logo design, it also comes in handy, and for other things as well, other kinds of designs as well. It's easier to do this than go to the Pathfinder. I will also make another video on the Pathfinder. Anyways, the shape builder tool does, you could say it kind of has 4 different modes, or does 4 different things. You can do 4 different things with it. So let's start. Here you see these 2 circles and mouse icon. Now we are in the shape builder tool. Have selected the shape builder tool. Now when I click this, nothing is going to happen. Now this is a common mistake some people make, and the reason for this is when you do not have this selected and select the shape builder tool, you won't be able to do anything. You need to first select the objects like this. Now both of these are selected. Now I will go to the shape builder tool, and now when I hover over this, you will see what is going to happen. This type of pattern ends up forming inside the shape, and you see here it's cutting off right here, and kind of looks like a crescent moon in a sense. And because of that, this shape right here, if I click on this and I just drag it in, Oh, sorry, I made one mistake. I need to drag it in all the way. Now, what just happened? You see my cursor right here? This is the shape builder tool cursor. It has a little plus underneath it. And when I clicked and dragged over this, what happened is the two circles that were on top of each other, when I clicked and dragged, they formed into one shape. What I mean by that is, you see this anchor point here? If I move this, you can see that this is now one shape, one single shape. Now I've gone back and let me just show you. Before, these were two different shapes, but now with the shape builder tool, when it has a plus icon underneath it, I need to select both of these to do it. Now both of these are selected and the cursor has a plus icon underneath it. Now I just click and drag over the areas I want to merge, and now these two are merged into one object. So that's how the merge works. Now let's say I wanted to extract. So let's move on to the second one. Extract. Okay, for this I have selected both of these. Go to the shape builder tool and then when you press Alt, okay, for example, these are two circles, okay, when I hover over them, a pattern appears. Now this pattern basically represents the area it's going to be affecting when you will use the shape builder tool. Okay, this is what this means basically. Now as you can see, this leaf-like shape is forming. So two things I wanted to do to explain this. I know this is abstract, but another thing I want to teach you is, when the icon is a plus icon, instead of clicking and dragging to merge the shape, when I'm in this area right here, for example, when I click on it, what just happened is you can't see anything different here, right? Let me just go here and I'm going to click here, the area that was affected by me clicking with the shape builder tool. I'm just going to click here and just going to move this, and now what you see is that it extracted that shape out and formed its own shape. Basically, that is what I wanted to teach you here, is that it will form its own shape by cutting out the area that is being affected, where the pattern is appearing. It will cut out that area. When you click on it with the shape builder tool, it will make it into another object. It's its own object, basically. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay, and let me just keep this to the side for now. Okay, so that's what you can do with the extract. Now to show you what I mean by erase. With the erase, what you do is you press Alt, click, drag, and release. Now it's only forming this crescent shape, crescent moon shape. What happened is it will erase. This is basically what I did. This was extracting, okay? This was extracting, and this was erasing. By extracting, I meant cutting out an area. And by erasing, I mean deleting the things you do not need in your shape, in your design. You don't need those. You use the shape builder tool to combine, cut, or erase them. Now, let's move on. Another thing you can do when you have selected is, with the shape builder tool, you're seeing these four shapes, right? You must be thinking, I'm going to like combine them into something, right? But you can create shapes with the shape builder tool as well. And by creating shape, I don't mean like combining all of these into one shape. I mean this area right here. You see, when I hover outside here, no pattern is appearing. But since there is like this combined shape area in the middle, like this gap here, it's basically like telling you that if you click in this empty space right here, you will create a new shape. And I clicked, and I did not press any keys. When I did this, I only left clicked, and this is formed. Now let's just delete all of these, delete all of these other shapes, and you see this sparkle like design effect left. And that's how you can create different types of shapes with it, unique type of shapes with the designs even. And that's how create works. So these are the 4 things: merge, extract, erase, and create. These are the 4 things you can do with the shape builder tool. Now let's do a little exercise with this. I'm going to make a flower design. So to do this, what we are going to do is I'm going to go back a little, and I'm going to take my 4 different shapes. I'm going to move them about here. I'm going to scale them down a little bit. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we're going to do this. Can we create a flower? We are going to combine shapes into a flower like shape. Okay, so to do this, first I'm going to move this one into the center, right, like this, a little bit down. This one is also going to be in the center like this, and in the center like this. So these are 4 shapes. Okay, so now selecting all of them, shape builder tool, I'm going to combine all of them, and now I have this flower like pattern. Maybe I should have expanded these a little bit, but it's okay. This is like a simple project. It'll look more neater later on. Okay, so we have these 4 shapes combined into a flower like design. Now what we are going to do is let me just select a shape. Okay, this is going to be like the stem of the flower, like this. And we already made this leaf-like design, so we'll just use that. Okay, so let's scale this down a little bit, rotate it, this, and I'm going to like copy this here, scale this up a little bit, rotate it a little bit more. Okay, so this looks good enough. And one more thing, let's add a little circle in the middle, like a gap in a sense, you could say. So I think this is a center. Okay, so let's expand from here. I think this is good enough. Okay, now we have all of these things here: flower-like design, the stem, the leaves, and the circle. But this doesn't really look like a good flower. But we can change that by using the shape builder tool to combine everything right now. Okay, so oops, I forgot. Select everything first. Okay, from now, first let's start with the stem. Do this. Now the stem is a part of this. You can see it from right here in the middle. It has 2 anchor points. Now the leaves. Okay, and the circle right here. Actually, let me just do something else. Let me just do this. And there you go. And what I did was, with the circle right here, I just pressed Alt and then clicked, and it erased the middle of that. And now we have a flower-like design right here, just using simple shapes and the shape builder tool. So this is it for this tutorial. I really hope you like this tutorial. Like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.